Hello everybody, Calamity here, and today we're going over the Spiral Abyss teams. I haven't done this in a while. This is usually my most successful type of video that I make on this channel. It seems to attract the most viewers, but hey, let's get started. As usual, we are on the Akasha database for all of the numbers that you're seeing on the screen here and for the team comps. If you want a link to this website, you can find it in the description or down below. As you can see, no clickbait really. These are the top 5 teams that are currently being used the most in the current iteration of the Spiral Abyss, which in my opinion, this is definitely one of the harder Spiral Abysses we've had recently that I can remember, especially because of that Wii Newt fight at the very end, which was definitely very frustrating. But hey, let's take a look at the teams, and obviously at number 1 we can see one of the most popular teams that continues to stay popular is Raiden Shogun's team, which of course consists of Raiden Shogun herself, duh, Bennett, with Zhongling for Pyro Resonance, giving you a 25% attack boost, and then we have Xingqiu. Now this team, if you're not familiar with it, basically you're going to be cycling through Zhongling, Xingqiu, and Bennett's bursts, and then you're going to do Raiden's at the very end, because she has the ability to recharge your team's burst fairly quickly, and then you just keep recycling the rotation until whatever you're fighting eventually dies. Now, as we can see, the full start clear rate with this team is an 85%, which is really solid. And the first, it's being mostly used for the first half. That makes sense because this sort of team setup has they do a lot of sustained damage for quite a while once all the bursts are out. For the Wii Newt, this isn't going to be really good for it because the Wii Newt is only available to be hit for very short periods of time. Whereas the first half of that chamber, which is chamber 3, has the 2 cryo lava churls. You can use Zhongling and Bennett to quickly destroy their shields. Raiden Shogun can hit both of them with her burst and do lots of damage, and Xingqiu also helps with that. A lot of vaporizes going off. Very solid team comp. And I think this is new, but if you click on this like double arrow, you can kind of see, you can actually see gameplay. These are various content creators. It does not allow you to upload from YouTube. It's only Billibilli, which is like the YouTube for China. So if you want to see what the teams look like, you could definitely just click that arrow. Oh god, I'm trying to navigate back. Okay. If you want to see gameplay of the teams in action, looking at the team with the second highest battle count is going to be Ayaka's team, and that obviously makes a lot of sense. These 2 characters, Ayaka and Shenhe, are currently being reran in the current banners right now, so it makes sense that a lot of people are actually pulling for them. Most likely, the majority of those that did pull for them already had their materials pre-farmed and maybe some artifacts already good to go, so it's no surprise to see them really high up here in the stats. And in fact, this is the only team on this list that is in the second half, and that makes a lot of sense, again, because they do short bursts of damage, especially with Ayaka's burst. I would assume as long as your Ayaka's decently built, you can down the Wii Newt in 2 rotations with a team like this. Very high full start clear rate. Coming in at 3rd place is basically Raiden Shogun's team again, but instead of using Xingqiu, you just use Yulan, who works pretty much the same way. Does lots of off-field hydro damage. Not much else to say. Now, the 4th team is the team that I personally use. If you guys saw my run in the previous video I uploaded, this is the exact team I use, which is Hu Tao with Yulan and Xingqiu with Zhongli. We can afford to use this team because there isn't any, if there's any of the Rift Hounds, then this team gets countered pretty hard, or any monsters that really counter a shield in general if they decide to add more of those. But you can get away with this, and then we have the tons of hydro application thanks to Xingqiu and Yulan. But you're also getting the hydro resonance, which is 25% more HP, which benefits literally everybody on this team except Xingqiu. If you're not familiar, Zhongli's shield scales with HP, so more of that means beefier shield. Hu Tao scales with HP for her damage when you pop her skill. Yulan, all of her damage is again scaled off your HP, so everyone except Xingqiu here is getting a huge damage boost, which is why this is a fantastic team that synergizes really well with itself. and does tons and tons of damage. Like, I was clearing all of the chambers with this team in about, you know, a minute, or even less than a minute, I should say. Except the first chamber, only because you have to fight that Abyss Herald, the Cryo Abyss Herald, and just taking down that shield, even with Hu Tao's infused pyro damage, it still takes, you know, a while, and that's probably the only chamber that took the most time. And lastly, the fifth most used team is going to be Kaza. It's going to be Childe's international team. We've seen this one here before. It is basically the same team, you know, with Raiden, similar to like Raiden Shogun's team, but you have Zhongling and Bennett with Childe for tons of vaporizing damage, and then Kaza here to group up your enemies, as well as provide, you know, that damage boost from Viridescent Veneer and his passive skill. But hey, let's check out some more teams. There could be more interesting ones. Ooh, this one's new, at least to me. We have Tignari, Yaimiko, Nahida, and Zhongli. Now, I haven't used Tignari. I don't have him, unfortunately, but I do know that he's a very solid Dendro DPS character. I do think he's more of a PC-friendly one than more of a... And we do see that he is mainly used in the second half. This team is mainly used in the second half. And I've heard that Yaimiko and Nahida do tons of damage, or easily damage the Wii Newt fight. Because of Yaimiko's totems, they automatically just target the boss for you. Nahida, you just tag it with her skill. And again, you're just going to be constantly applying a free quicken / aggravates on the boss the entire time, and then you use your Tignari to do his, you know, his burst damage. He does very high burst damage up front. And then of course Zhongli here for shield, since this team is not running a healer. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's any gameplay of it. Yeah, there's no gameplay of it. It does seem to have a really high full star clear rate though, so maybe something to consider. And Nahida's getting her rerun banner in the next update, so hey, if you haven't pulled for Nahida or you got unlucky, hopefully you get her this time around. But if you didn't have Nahida, then I would consider using, you know, Traveler or Kali or Yao Yao. Next up, we have what looks like the free-to-play, more friendly version of Ayaka's team here. This one doesn't have Shenhe, if you're unlucky to get her. We are still using Kazuha and Mona. Although Mona's a 5-star, she is a standard character, so she, you know, we're used to seeing her around here. And Dione is also here for being a cryo battery, a shielder, and a healer all in one. Very nice kit. This is the team that I used with Ayaka until I got my own Shenhe, and you can see that it definitely struggles, you know, more than the other team, of course, that we saw. But it was still, we still have like about almost 80% of y'all are able to fully start clear with this team. On the second half, of course, we're mainly using them there. I like how one-sided the ratios for most of the teams are. There's no team so far that's been like a close 50-50. Next up, we have Hyperbloom with double Hydro application. So we have Nahida once again with Kuki Shinobu, Yelan, and Jingcho. Seems to have a really high clear rate of 90. These numbers are funny. 79.79 and 92.92. That's kind of funny. And then we have, of course, the Hyperbloom team once again being used on the second half. Again, I'm pretty sure most of these teams are factoring the Wii Newt fight, since that is, again, the most frustrating chamber, in my opinion. Next up, we have the Hyperbloom team, but with Alhaitham instead. It is actually nice to see that he is still being quite used a lot by a lot of players, so that's good to see. And it has a really high clear rate, 96%. For the second half, not bad at all. Next up, we have another iteration of Ayaka's team, where instead of Shenhe, we're using Ganyu. Ganyu can be, again, we've talked about this in the past before, but Ganyu can actually be a really good support. Her burst does give you increased cryo damage. And then the taunt can actually be kind of helpful just for getting enemies off your back when you're trying to set up you know, your other skills and bursts for Ayaka to do damage. Very premium team though, all 5 stars again. Alright, let's take a look at probably one more page. So next up we have the Hyper Carry Raiden Shogun team. Now this one is actually really close in terms of the ratio being used on either the first or second half. And that makes sense because, again, a team like this will work on either side because honestly there's bosses on both. Don't forget the Magu Kenki is on Chamber 2. But yeah, we have Kazuha Bennett with Kujo Sara and Raiden Shogun. This team basically just you focus on buffing the heck out of your Raiden, and she does all the damage with her burst, and then gives that energy back to her teammates to then again reset the buffs on her, and then, you know, Raiden does her thing, just back and forth the entire time. Has a really solid 90% clear rate, so that's a pretty solid team. Wanderers right after that with Faruzan, Zhongli, and Bennett. Now, I've heard from a lot of Wanderer mains in a previous video that, you know, Zhongli is a must-have for Wanderer just because it gets really annoying to get, you know, knocked out of the sky when you're flying around. Bennett, of course, for the healing and the free attack boost, and then Faruzan, you know, especially if you get her at C6, gives you incredible damage boost on top of her kit that already reduces animal resistance. Very high clear rate at 92%. And this team is mainly used on the first half, which makes sense. Alright, next up we have another iteration of the Raiden's International team where you just swap out Xingqiu for Kazuha. This is a little bit better for dealing with groups of enemies just because Kazuha's skill. Next up is another free-to-play iteration of Ayaka's team, but instead of Diona, we're using Rosaria and Kokomi for heals and hydro application. I'd imagine she's also using a Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayer's weapon as well for boosting Ayaka's damage even further. Solid 88% clear rate, and again mainly just used for the second team. I gotta try using a freeze team or the Ayaka comp for the Wii Newt. I'm very curious to see how it plays out. I'm guessing we have the premium version here of Alhaitham's team, as we have legit all 5 stars with Yaimiko, Zhongli, Nahida, and Alhaitham, of course, with a very high clear rate of almost 98%. This is basically a very, very strong team against this version of the Spiral Abyss. Alright, we'll do one last page. Hopefully we get to see something different and not just another iteration. Hey, Sinnoh's here. Sinnoh's still being used. It's nice to see. With a 95% full star clear rate, mainly used on the second half. Wow. Really strong team comp here. He does definitely want to be together with Nahida, as she provides really good Dendro application. We do see Xingqiu here for also just easy Hyperbloom setups. Dang! Next up we have the all damage or nothing comp here. The just don't get hit version of Ayaka's team, which includes Mona, Kazuha, and Shenna. So you're just gonna beef up the heck out of Ayaka's damage. She's probably gonna do insane amounts of damage here, but as you can see, like, it still has a full clear rate. It's just probably not used a lot because I'm sure it can be frustrating if you get hit or you lose a ton of HP throughout the Spiral Abyss. But hey, some people took the challenge and some people are really good at dodging. 162 of you apparently. Congrats. That's actually really impressive. Next up we have Alhaitham again. I'm actually surprised how many different variations of Alhaitham we have. This time it's just instead of Xingqiu, we have Yelan. Not much to say there. Lastly, we have an iteration of the Hu Tao team where you replace Xingqiu with Mona, or you could do the opposite. You replace Yelan, if you don't have her, with Mona instead. So you're still getting that double hydro application, or sorry, the hydro for the resonance for that increased damage. Still does pretty well. Mainly used on the first half. Some of y'all using it on the second. And the last team for today. I'm sure Ray will appreciate this if you see this video. It's going to be Kaching's Aggravate team with the usual teammates we've seen before, which is going to be Fischl, Kazuha, and Nahida. Now again, just like that Ayaka team with all the damage amplification, this is the same thing for Kaching. You have Fischl here just to set up, the elemental reactions and to help with Kazuha's burst, who will also swirl to increase your damage even further. Nahida to apply Dendro, and of course increase your damage via elemental mastery. But again, you don't have a healer, you don't have a shielder, so this is going to be quite the high risk team comp. Definitely have to work on your dodging skills here. But hey, apparently it's not a problem for 138 of you. 98% clear rate. That's really high. That's crazy good. Now there is one team comp I'm surprised we didn't really see much of, and that's any team comp that's using Nilo, because she was quite popular when she was first out. Now, of course, the next time we take a look at the character stats, I'm sure we're going to see, a lot more Nilo comps since she's getting a rerun right beside Nahida. And with that being said, that is going to do it for this video. What do you guys think of the top most used teams in the Spiral Abyss so far? I'm hoping we get a new cycle for the Spiral Abyss, just because I really don't like fighting the Wii new boss fight. It is one of the most frustrating boss fights in the game. But yeah, what are your opinions on the teams? What teams are you guys running in the Spiral Abyss? Let me know in the comments. And with that being said, don't forget to subscribe if you like the content. We're actually nearing 400 subs. I'd really be happy if we could reach that. I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks again for watching.